good evening. Once again, it's a pleasure having you in this panel. You can begin by telling us the objective of this the project, that is the root projects, which is a 6-year project and $80 million project as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. To also thank our viewers for being here with us. You're completely right. The Roots project was launched by none other than His Excellency the President himself roughly 1 year ago. Roots is significant because it has a development objective of increasing agricultural production, productivity, but also access to markets. So it is faceted, if you like. One is increasing productivity, the other is increasing access to markets. But we're not doing that for the sake of it. Why are we increasing productivity and access to markets? It is to enhance food security, nutrition, and resilience of who? It is for the small farmer, the small family farm, but also the farmer organizations. So in short, this is what Roots is about, and this is what it is set to achieve. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mamoralu Jang, for giving us a synopsis of the Roots project. Mr. Nyanga, before coming back to you, we'll be joined later in the program by the Social Inclusion Officer of the Roots Project, Alhaji Haruna Cham, and Senior Climate Smart Agri Officer of the project as well, Mr. Lamin S. Dabo. These two gentlemen will be joining us later in the program. Ms. Nyangado, as the capacity development, knowledge management, as well as communication officer of the project, how does it all started?
Right, okay. Thank you very much, and good evening, viewers. Thanks for having us on the studios. Like the project director alluded to, we're from the Roots project. It's a $80 million project. Of course, like you just put it, that was launched a little over a year ago. And here we are today to speak to the public. We are here to speak about project activities. Well, how this all started, it started from the project communication strategy, because when the project was launched, we came up with a communication strategy. And then one of the mandates of that, in that communication strategy, is to come and then speak to the public every 6 months, to speak to Gambians about project activities, to update them on the operation of the previous year of intervention. Where are we? What went right? And then what were the challenges? That's why we are here today, to speak to the public, to speak to project beneficiaries, to speak to stakeholders. So that is why we are here today. So it's in twofold. One, it's in the project communication strategy, and then two, we are here as citizens engagement, to engage the citizens, because like he said, this is IFAD and Gambia government project. So we need to update the public. Public needs information. So there are relevant information that if we don't bring out, the people will not know. Sometimes people see our vehicles out and say, okay, Roots, they have a lot of vehicles and so on. Right. But it's good for us to come and then speak to the public on achievements and then
the way forward. Interesting. Paul Mendy, being the planning and M&E officer of the project, can you tell us how far have you gone?
Oh, thank you very much. Good evening, viewers. Happy to be here. Just to pick up from my colleague, Mr. Nyangado, this is an opportune moment for the project to interface with the general public. And the question on how far we have come is apt. First, we are only 1 year since project launch. Like you rightly stated in your opening, the project was launched on the 9th of February 2021. And since then, there have been a series of activities to get us started. To get us started, you need a project team in place. Once we came on board, what did we do until now? It is about getting the systems in place, the strategies in place. He's talked about a communication strategy that also is accompanied with a knowledge management strategy. We are able to capture our achievements because we have a robust M&E system in place. That also needed designing, and we are in the process of rolling out. In fact, we are currently, just last week, we rolled out at community level, interfacing with the beneficiaries, but also the project field staff in terms of using tablets for data collection, but also training beneficiaries to acquire skills on participatory monitoring and evaluation. This is important, especially for their involvement, but also to improve the likelihood of sustaining project activities. Project implementation also cannot go in the absence of a sound financial management system. So that system was also put in place, supported by a finance and admin manual, just like the M&E is also supported by an M&E manual. So in terms of setting up, all the structures are in place, and we are really rolling everything out. This is an example of one of the rollout activities of the communication strategy. We also have a procurement plan in place. Of course, without that, you cannot even do implementation, as well as an annual work plan and budget for the first year, and now in the second year. Since the project launch, we have also replicated the launch activities at regional level. The project operates at the 6 agricultural regions, and the project was also launched at that level with the participation of key government stakeholders, including regional governors. Once that was done, it was important to establish the regional presence of the project. And what we did was to establish the regional coordination unit at each of the project regions, from West Coast to URR. And in each of these regions, we have a regional coordinator supported by 4 field assistants and a driver. And they are the regional structures, coordination units are housed at the regional agricultural directorates, just to ensure proper and strong linkage between the project and the Department of Agriculture, which in fact is the core beneficiary and key partner of the Roots project. Having set up those things, then we need the oversight bodies. The National Steering Committee is in place at the national level, but also we have regional steering committees also playing oversight to the activities of the project at regional level. So all these structures are fully in place and rolled out as far as implementation is concerned. Now, coming to the core project activities, the project is arranged in 3 different components. The first component is agricultural productivity and adaptation to climate change. Just like the project director mentioned, the core objective of the project is twofold. One is increasing production and productivity, and the other is increasing access to markets. So that is component 1, productivity, and then component 2 is access to market. So for the first year, it was about identifying the key implementing partners, engaging them to understand their key roles and responsibilities in the project as defined in the project document, and developing the MOU, which should provide a framework for collaboration to roll out the activities. I'm happy to say that the core partners for the project, as far as increasing productivity is concerned, are all signed up to a memorandum of understanding, and this includes the Department of Agriculture as the core. And then we also have other institutions and farmers organizations like NACOFAG, like the University of the Gambia, the Gambia College. These are all key partners of the project as far as rolling out activities under component 1. We've also worked with the National Environment Agency to validate the environmental and social management framework, which was developed. And so we are also recruiting international technical assistants to support, say, in farmer field school, and the rest of that under component 1. But concrete on the ground, what are we doing with beneficiaries? As far as that is concerned, we are completing the civil works on 6 out of the 17 gardens, so that were started by NEMA but could not be completed. Works are ongoing and are set to be completed by the 31st of May. That is the civil works. Then the installation of the elevated or overhead water tanks at the gardens will also be installed. But we expect production to start in June at these 6 gardens. And then this will be followed up with another phase until we exhaust the 17 gardens. Overall, the project should upgrade 40 vegetable gardens for women and establish 30 new ones. So that is the target. But then when we talk about the challenges, we'll identify really what these issues are. As far as access to markets is concerned, we also have implementing partners that are supposed to partner with the project to roll out a model of value chain development called 4P, the public-private producers partnership. That is the 4P. And we have partners like the Gambia Chamber of Commerce, of course, like being the umbrella body of the private sector. We have NACOFAG, for a national representation of the farmers, and then we have implementing partners like United Purpose, formerly Concern Universal. Their key role is really to revamp and expand the market information system as far as price of commodities for agriculture, mainly rice and vegetables, which is the core focus of the project. To make sure people have direct access to price information on a daily basis, real time. This is important for buyers. So then we have the West Africa Rural Foundation, which is leading the implementation of what we call Agricultural Value Chain Interaction Platform. This was an initiative started under the NEMA project, and the objective is to create linkage among all the actors along the rice and horticulture value chain, from producers, traders, transporters, buyers, wholesalers, processors, so that they all have a platform where they can exchange information, interact, and be able to strike deals, sign contracts, So that was initiated. Now we are upgrading that, within the framework of 4P implementation. Today we received the international team, which forms part of the international technical assistance that was recruited to support or lead the project in implementing or rolling out the 4P implementation. We received them today. Of course, the local team has been on for a while now, and now we are ready for full rollout of this, because the MIS, the Market Information System, and the AVIP initiative were already kick-started since last year. So now it is about intensifying that. So we are also engaging the financial sector, because that is critical for access to finance in agriculture. Microfinance, non-bank, even the central bank was engaged, so that we look at how we can organize products that are going to be absorbed by farmers in a manner which does not disturb their repayment schedule, so because that was a critical challenge under the NEMA. So very important also is the much talked about cold storage facilities for vegetable growers. I'm happy to report that we have signed a contract to do the first set of 3 as a pilot. And from tomorrow, we will be witnessing the handing over of those sites to the contractors. This is going to go a very long way in reducing post-harvest loss for vegetables, but also in ensuring increased incomes for farmers, vegetable growers, especially women, who form the majority in this sector.
Mr. Lily, thank you very much for giving us details of how far we have gone for since the launch of the project. Mr. Jang, going back to you, it's 1 year on since the project was launched. A lot has been done, and more is expected in the coming years and months. Now, what are your, which areas in your intervention, which of your intervention areas is key and that you want to focus on, like for next this year, 2022?
Thank you very much.
For the second year of the project.
Thank you very much. One very important intervention we are also rolling out, in addition to what my colleague said, is the youth matching grants. The target beneficiaries of roots are the women and the youth primarily, but also people with disabilities. So the Youth Matching Grant is expected to create self-employment in agribusiness services for the youth. And we have rolled out the invitation for applications, and we have so far got a very good response. I think that is a very important intervention of the Roots project. Additionally, we have a literacy and numeracy program. Because we are aiming to commercialize our interventions, it is important that our target beneficiaries are literate and numerate. So that is also going on. When we get more money, we will actually expand the number of vegetable gardens that we are completing. We will expand also the number of cold storage facilities that we are to construct. Our mandate is to construct a total of 15 cold storage facilities, and we are starting with 3. Another intervention that we are preparing for is in the rice subsector.
Great.
Thus far, we have not done a lot other than preparatory activities.
Yes, a good question. I think I have to interject there, Mr. Jang. A lot of people, I think there's a component, a lot of Gambians are interested in seeing the Roots project focusing more now. Well, this is not my own, because we interact with a lot of Gambians.
Of course.
They tell us that, what they used to tell us, or what we gather from them is like the Roots project should concentrate more on rice production so that the Gambia can feed itself. You just started talking about it before my intervention. I mean, how far, or what are your plans for that component of the project?
Okay, thank you very much. The target is for the Roots project to develop a total of 5,100 hectares of tidal irrigation as opposed to pump irrigation. 5,100 hectares in terms of all manner of interventions just to make the land cultivable, but also to control the water flow. So you have all kinds of infrastructural works to be done. That doesn't end there. Once that is done, we provide the inputs for the communities to embark on production. But also we'll help train them through the farmer field schools that we are developing in conjunction with the Department of Agriculture. And then component 2 kicks in again, the issue of marketing. So all in all, we will work with a total hectarage of 5,100. That is at the peak of the project. Now, even if you have 2 cropping cycles in a year, at an average yield of 5 tons per hectare, that turns out to be 50,000 tons of rice contributed by the Roots project. Now, our national requirements far exceed 50,000 tons. Thus, Roots will contribute towards achieving food self-sufficiency, but by itself, Roots alone may not be able to do it. But of course, we know there are already several other interventions in the area. So Roots has just come to complement and top up what already exists. Thank you.
Great, but in that component of the project, which specific regions are you targeting? Because CRR and URR are the areas that are known by our locals as the food basket of the country. Are you thinking of building the capacities of farmers around those regions, or you want to tell us something for the pipeline?
Absolutely. I think you pinpointed it rightly. Roots is targeting CRR particularly CRR South, where you have the Jahali and Pacha rice fields, but also URR. In URR, we have an additional intervention because I mentioned tidal irrigation. But in URR, when we receive funding from the French Development Agency, they are also interested in pump irrigation. In URR, the landscape is a bit more hilly, so to speak, and therefore tidal irrigation may not work very well. So in addition to tidal efforts in URR specifically as funded by the French Development Agency, we will be embarking on pump irrigation. But those are not the two regions. We are also looking at North Bank, areas like Jurunku. We're also looking at LRR, areas like Tonya Taba. The beauty of it is that our interventions will be demand-driven. Communities will ask for support. We will float a request, which we are already working on, and interested communities will register their interest. Then comes a technical assessment of the feasibility, but also economic viability of the intervention. As you know, resources are scarce, so you cannot just put them anywhere there is demand. You have to make sure that the returns at least equal or exceed the investment. So that would be the approach. Yeah.
Mr. Jan, we'll come back with a lot more questions to ask you regarding this, how you wish to continue your performance in the Roots project for the next years to come. Well, viewers, just to remind you that this is a live phone-in panel from the Ministry of Agriculture. Of course, it's the officials of the Roots project that are here live with us. And if you definitely want to take part in this program, the number to call is 311-433, 311-433 or 733-8562, 733-8562. Well, Mr. Nyangado, bidun coming out for Nyamandron, Nimu Kachalti Melonko, the Kangol Bele Malaje, Akumata Bakele, Nimbo Okikandron, Janibe telephone Momo Lafta K double and Kachakono, Kachakuma Bato, Isikumandro Keno, and 311 between 433 or 733-8562. Isidasikaro yin Kachakumato, Jame Alonko, Roots project officer so le Natan pour en Jama Mulbe Kacha, Bila Duku, Bidding. Ye launch serum katafu nyinang ye menke abete funo la nyiwati na jang bari domandinsi nyamba snole wo nyamba so kono dron mis nyangado project wala load la moment anu okay iko dobe telephone auto what you have a call on the line. Good evening. Yes, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine.
You live on JRTS place?
Yes, I want to contribute to this program.
Thank you very much. You can go ahead. Yeah, hearing you loud and clear.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yes, hello. They can hear you loud and clear.
okay, I am Mr. So.
Mr. So, go ahead, please.
I am Mr. So of the School Farms and Gardens Sample
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
of the Ministry of Further Education.
All right. Okay.
It seems that a project in this country forget about the Ministry of Education, that is for School Farms and Gardens.
Okay.
We are doing the job doing and trying to help them develop and spiritual attitudes and their passion for education. And our activities are just complementary school building program.
Okay.
Most the Ministry of Agriculture projects and community gardening not involved in the Ministry the school farm and the Ministry of Education.
Okay.
So I'm appealing to the Ministry of Agriculture projects of involved Ministry of Education to meeting, I talked to the that is today the world only about design that will be there. Out of school funds and time, so that we get the school funds and time schools where that will be school training program teach children because that.
Okay, thank you very much. Your appeal is noted. The project director will just respond to your your concern and appeal. Mr. Jang, you heard what he said.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Mr. Saul for his intervention. Indeed, we have discussed this a couple of times over the phone. And I agree completely that the issue of school farms and gardens is very important. However, every project has a mandate and has a design. And for the Roots project, the focus is on community gardens. And the rationale behind that is fairly simple. It is because Roots is targeting primarily rural women. And when you go to the community gardens, that is where you find them. That is why the concentration is on community gardens. But I agree with him that maybe there needs to be a project that is targeting the resuscitation and expansion of these school farms and gardens.
Well, thank you, Mr. Jang. I think Mrs. So they are following the program hard, loud and clear. You want to add on to what he said? Okay, just to we now shift a little bit in the local languages as well. Mr. Nyanga, coming out from the Nyamendo, it's a Nyamba Snodron coming direct on Mr. Mendy Menfo, Allah Ali achievement of Men Soto, Ning Sanji Tambila, and Ning I'll be telling the men Ning Beji Samamenko.
Aparaka Bakero, the Jiber Lalpe Contona, Batingo, Kalialo Nyamin, and Tolepotalian Roots Project. Roots Wallen Project, what may alonko, 7 song on February, Karo Konolang, President of His Excellency, President Adama Barrow from Akuli. Akulitanum OIC Conference Center in Netojang.
Nyangado, yale coming live pulling program. Bantalan Kulbella Fila Bakele Kedaka for Jim program or between Dole telephone or no tafel. Hello. Yes, good evening. Ibi Kotanant. You ebe program of Jubeka. Elafse Dabla and Kachakono Kodi. Okay, Mbela Moika. Okay. Sorry, Minto? Kinte Kunda, Maron Kunda, Baribo. Okay, all right, okay. Okay.
COVID-19.
Okay. Okay, okay. Wala yintu ila mankuro kuja dula kuja malto. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Okumata back. Yes, ngafolo okumata bakele. Okay, o ila kuma kama betata bake baraka bake. All right, inshallah, baraka. Okay, director and the rest of the team, as you were saying, as the saying goes, to whom much is given, because much is expected. But continue jani be kumani da no so
yeah okay mbatar yandila ko nga fonung nyaming roots ning president of fangola ya kullinung serun sang ko na memu 2021 ti me alon ko sanji woro project golem adung kodo menyenta da pasla kunna abita fo doralo William million tan say wala nyanta kadung programme nyin kono nyin sanji woro la wicho nyin kono
kadi jamal
ha wo mo ko di jamalati
Very.
Parni na ta jibe fonam project go
jara go be jesana ni la nya ba kan bari okay
okay satar yandi fanan jande modo be dunna line auto
okay
comme nyin sanji woro la wicho kono roots nata ka jumale nafa momen nyanta ke muno fangin project go kono nyanta tala fo sinkiri wul tannani alo fana mondoya sinkiri wul tannani to la jang nin kasabiro nyinto ni ajibe jibos la 2013 nyinto sinkiro doya ta nyawanyang mo seybe jele so nata jibe ko ni sinkir mo sey e bajala sinkir wul tannani nyo bita fo mo wuli keme sabo mo wili mo so nyinyi sanji woro kono roots la demaro nyanta ka futa wolema so demaro nyin ko project director ya fo nyami fana fanna fulanga wol jibe mi yalon ko wol kumayata bakel ha wolen be senelal la soto buloni mbo fanundi la nyaadile karafula la wolen mani senola karolati killing anim fulanyamo fana gadino wolen na ko la karolati mobile line auto
no nyato do man mbitani break la bajani wo break be sila dron isi ila o kuma kan futandi
so coming ngafo nyaming karafula lambe jibero ke kan woto wala pour ka fanndiro ke senelal ya wala isaje la soto buloni siri wa karola wala mani doku wala fannala mbe la faro ke la nyaadi le foni mol senelal ni na mani sononi ila soto buloni so wala fano je nyaadi le flanyo fana wala ko ngafo nyami na ko la karola bar hani bi mada woda mal nata je ko ni senela ma koy iko ya ala soto fengo me ka soto wayla fa hani bi ni wala fata kudo fana mina wala ngabe firo kala min tol ba ya fo janga ko small holder farmers men yalon ko wolle ka
ani maboro
so men yala wolle ka nyim firme sen non ken tol nata pour ka wolle sementu ya sa ni tara itana ta ye molla gadino na ka ton kiline bondi ko sa ngi ma koy ay ke ton luluti wodo hani bi ye problème o samana ba o sa firo fana bekela problème so wala na roots la fana fulanya wala lon sinkam fulanya ngi wolota men kan wolen pour ka marché o sono yandi marché o ni na futa nyolo ko sono yandi senelali ani maboro nyim fanan Kenya ba nga nyinje ko ikafo me post harvest loss wala me alon ko ni mole fir fengol katiya samba lu molto na mom bang jamala katinya so wotinyaro nyin tol nata si kawmira wotinyaro nyimbe bondila no nyaadile so la nata fuko sain be marché o sono yandla marché wala futa nyomo kilimbo o sono yandla bar fulanya fana ni mole firo ke marché o nyinto firo nyim mom bang nsedula do mabordula keje dala me alon ko nin afiro ni mambandron isata ya mabordula do isaje wo samola wara lumu kota mala isina murnan pour ka firo nyin ta ka continendi
wato tinyaro te siala bake
so ko project director ya fanyamin roots be nyin lori nyin simfanya lekan bare roots fana nata mobile wala na ya fale ya ko ne roots jibe munanyanta ke muna fanga kono nga fale jang ko mo wuli keme saba mo wili muwan baro kono project wala sidula ala muna falal sidula tanseo o be nyanta ka ke musoleti sidula muwan ni lulu wona ta ka ke funding kelle bar nata je ko wol damate mol fana ben kono min ya lon ko alaye mutallanjur tol adi fana mu molete men yalon kon tol bele ni den ta Gambia jan beton na suol lo kono nañol lem fañol lem binkol ni bari mbala ni dokol ni kotol lem so nata je ko to sidula tan to projet go nyin kono so sidula tan nyin ta ngo fana di itolla so men yalon be muna fankan so to roots anata Gambia bele anata pour ka mo bele nafa mbe kumo fana tari andila coming nkaf ñoma Paul Mendy ya fo ñami projet ko la dati wato ni bitema alhamdulillah rabbil alamin ku jamana tata bare ku taratulale bala ba hanini be bungolo la ka dati ni foundation la folo yewuli so nin ku beje wo fundamental alhamdulillah being a wol be lole because o fandamol kono munebele chokinyolol be o fandamol nyinne kono comme tol nimmeni alon ko ni wala nyanta bulo dun na nyobul pour que projet ko nyi ka tamandi saje anyanta ka futa menuma ay futema so wo chokinyola lal kono ani senela ka fol beje me ala wala mar resene ka fo me nako fak wol beje ni nata firo fane na karola jan julaya la karola jan GCCI wala marata Chamber of Commerce wala marata wala so wo fana ni wol fana natam blodu nyokoto pole kuma do faja wo kuma yata bake bira ay Department of Agriculture ko ni route jibe ntolbe anyin kumanda mara banku lulo mba belato bar kumanda mara banga muneke nga jibele ko agriculture fongola director be dami ba roots mu project ko ni ko project ko waka wato la soro no wato nyin sira project go be banna bar yalon agriculture fongola director be dami yalon agriculture la dokulal wol betar la je wol betar la jele fo faw so wolati na dawoda nimbe nyin regional officer kala nka ke wol to isaje ntolbe doku kono wol sibo ana akalam sinin sama nim project go nyim banta ton wol ci tenten ba lonal ko project go ya dati damintola
okay Sinyanga da kuma tabakele Sambe Menkela will now take a short break, and when we return the program continues. Stay tuned.
Bundami yalon ko wolle be loring ka yelemani roke senola tamandir nya kunyala ka senelalu makoy wo bunda nyinto ika fay ko route wodo ko nying projeto le mi mudo kotimi yalon ko sanji woro do ku programme le banko kanjang adun dollar kodo million tan sey wole be dépassering akuna tola nying routes la nying seno bunda la lodula nyindung anganio na hamen ko mu nyineti ka seno balundi molse danyini ngo sotono ay tanka ay sia anin domor beto anin fanang senelal lodula banko nying kan pour que sembentia al hawala nyim falingo minka tama Gambia kono ja atanyin seno bunda la doko e ka fay ko rus project inin Gambia mansakunda anin fanang dunia be la kafuba mi yalon ko lebe loring seno nin danyin ngo yiruwandi kunyale e ka fay ko ifat anin senelal la bunda minu be banko kanjam wolle be loring ka jeko ise senelalu makoy ibe dulal minuto anin.
Well, thank you very much, and welcome back to this live phone-in panel on GRTS, that's Road Officials of Road Project. I have with us in the studio to discuss about their 6-year project, that is $80 million routes project that was launched last year by His Excellency President of the Republic, President Barrow. Joining us just now in the studios, we have Alaji Haruna Cham, who is the Social Inclusion Officer of the Roots Project, and Senior Climate Smart Agri Officer of the project, Lamin Stabo. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome once again to the program.
Good evening, Mr. Good evening.
Okay. Anyway, Jal, but notwithstanding, I will take bar as well. Cham, as the Social Inclusion Officer of the project, take us through.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Jallo. It's a pleasure being with you here this evening. Within the Roots Project, I am mainly responsible for targeting around the beneficiaries of the project, ensuring that, like the project director indicated, we are mainly targeting women and youth. And my responsibility within the project is to ensure that I work with all the project officers to make sure that whatever interventions we have, the 80% women beneficiaries, 20%, 25% youth beneficiaries, and 10% persons with disabilities, to ensure that they are adequately catered for in all our interventions. In addition to that, I also work with all the project officers to make sure that at least the interventions that we have in most of these communities are also implemented to ensure adequate participation of the project beneficiaries. Because we do not just want to take a bottom approach, but we are taking a bottom-up approach where we make sure that we work with the communities directly and ensure their adequate participation in project activities. And to ensure this, we, at the beginning of the project implementation, we developed a targeting strategy. So the strategy, like I said, is just meant to ensure easy facilitation of adequately targeting the project beneficiaries across the 5 regions within the country, that is West Coast going down to URR. But in addition to that, we are also working with 2 main programs to ensure capacity strengthening of the beneficiaries. And these programs are the literacy and numeracy. Like we all know, in the Gambia, most of these women that we are targeting are mainly not schooled. They've never been to school. So we have a special program that we are running for them. And in addition to that, there is also a new concept called the Gender Action Learning Systems that we are working with also the project beneficiaries to teach them on how do they ensure adequate resource management at the level of the household. But not only that, to also ensure adequate participation in terms of decision making, where women and youth are also supposed to be catered for. But in addition to that, I would just take the opportunity to also discuss briefly about a small relief package that we had for the smallholder farmers across all the 6 agricultural regions.
Okay.
And this facility is called the Rural Poor Stimulus Facility.
Okay.
So we started the first phase, which was implemented in 2021 June, and then we are now on the verge of finishing the second phase. So within this package, we are just providing relief aid in the form of emergency, because like we know that when the COVID-19 came, it hit almost everyone in the country, but farmers were mainly the most disadvantaged given their vulnerability in terms of having access to markets, but not only that, also engaging into farming activities due to closure of local markets and all that. So within the RPSF, we call it, we are supporting women, but also youth and persons with disabilities. So within this, the activities that we've been supporting, like we provided seeds, vegetable seeds. In the first phase, we supported 30 vegetable gardens, but in the second phase, we've supported over 60 gardens. So this has really helped a lot in boosting the nutritional capability of the smallholder farmers. Well, in addition to that, we did also provided support to the livestock and also small ruminants and poultry owners. And then through this, we also supported like over 50 schemes, because currently we are just finished supporting 36 schemes, out of which 18 were small ruminants and 18 were also poultry owners. But in addition to that, we've also supported small SMEs in the country, where we did provided online training opportunities. Because like I said, when COVID-19 came, a lot of market closures happened. So how do we ensure that at least young entrepreneurs in the Gambia are also able to use the advantages that are available within the digital and drive using technology? So we also train 30 beneficiaries in the first phase, where in the second phase we've trained about 54 beneficiaries. But we also provided them with some liquidity in the form of cash transfer. But in addition to that, within the RPSF1, we also supported women and other households within the country, where we provided cash transfer, so 500 beneficiaries. So as we speak right now, we are also in the process of also providing extra 500 support to smallholder farmers across the country through cash transfers. So those are just some of the activities that we did on the RPSF. Thank you.
Well, interesting, Mr. Cham there. We'll now move briefly to Mr. Dabo. Mr. Dabo, the main goal of the Roots Project is to improve the resilience of small farmers to climate change in the Gambia. I mean, this is something that is in the lips of every Gambian. Climate change. How far has the project gone in working closely with these small farmers?
So far, we are working towards getting to the small farmers. The first year, as alluded to by the previous speakers, started with the processes. And these processes involved trying to make sure that the capacity building packages that we will roll out to these farmers are in place before we actually start the infrastructure development. On the component 1 of the project, which I am the team leader, we have 2 sub-components. And these 2 sub-components are, the first one is the infrastructural development, and the second one is the agricultural service provision. So basically, the first year we have tried as much as possible the farmer field school, where we will roll out the climate smart agricultural packages, the training materials were produced during the first year. And then those ones, by the time we are done with the infrastructural development, they will be ready for use by the extension workers, and the farmers will also be able to benefit so that they get the right information and the right technologies to be able to increase their production and productivity.
But then, Mr. Jai, let me ask you this question. How challenging is this climate change to our farmers?
It's a big challenge. I think.
Suma, if we have callers on the line that wants to contribute, they can also call. You can see the numbers on your screens there. If you want to take part in the program, you can just call. And then, yes, Mr. Jai?
Thank you very much. I was saying that climate change is a serious challenge for our farmers. And you don't have to be a scientist to see the evidence all around us. And that is now contributing to declining yields on the part of the farming community. What we have done so far, firstly, is Roots is supposed to...
Mr. Jan, we have a caller. We can take this call and then continue the program. Hello, good evening. Jamarek, no ref. Okay, yang alhamdulillah, yang topa si program bi. Bogo nga se boga tedu. Wa ñu la deglu. Okay, léegi yow mën nga déglu léegi tuuti su ko defee ñu leeralal la loolu. Waaw, ñu leeralal la loolu. Director, you want to take up the one?
Well, bana, fona munna ko leral.
Jengu, wow.
Wa harama jengu ko sa. Dinga gis ne dañ am lu ñoo wax matching grant facilities nga xam ne project bi dina teg xaalis ñoom tam ñu teg ida land la wala xaalis. Matching grant yi nag dafa bari façon wax na ci gannaaw yëfi youth matching grant bi nga xam ne dafa support youth yi nga xam ne dañ bëgg a dugga si business boo xam ne mu ngi saytu mbiri agriculture. Waaye am nañ beneen matching grant pour support new gardens. Why again new gardens community gardens la, not individual gardens. Okay. So lolu la why mom su buggee apply xëj na duñ ko mën a support as a parce que nekkut community garden waaye mën nañ ko support si yëfi equipment ak yooyu nga xam ne xëj na dina ko soxla.
Okay.
Especially comme processing equipment and so forth. Waaw yooyu am nañ facility boobu.
Okay. Loolu am na solo lool kon yow koola bi soo doon déglu rek directeur bi mu ne comme lu mu doon explain noonu rek yow mën nga ko jëlee foofu noonu rek kon nga toppa ñu waa Roots project bi program director bi mu wane we have only 2 minutes to go. Mr. Chang, final question. What are the challenges you face within the implementation of the project?
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very important question.
Briefly.
Yes, indeed. Firstly, we had delays in project startup. Recall the president launched the project last year.
Yes.
Well, that is 1 year after the project had actually been approved. So we already lost a year before we started any work. The second one is the funding, and this is a big challenge. $80 million is what is said. But these are pledges, and those who are into finance and resource mobilization know that pledges are not necessarily cash in hand.
Okay.
So we have the challenge. The funding limits that we are having now are not allowing us to achieve the project targets in a timely manner.
Okay.
Secondly, we could do with more institutional support from government, but we are working with both the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Agriculture to resolve those issues. A looming challenge now is the skyrocketing prices. What used to cost 5 is now costing 8. If that trend continues, we are unlikely to achieve our quantitative targets with the money we have. But allow me in closing, since we have only 1 minute.
In fact, under 1 minute.
Under 1 minute,
Yes.
to thank those who have really supported this project. Allow me to single out the former Minister of Agriculture, Ami Fabure, but also the former Minister of Finance, Mambure Njai. We are also very keen to work with their successors, and there are a lot who have supported this project, but we'd like to thank everybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jan. I hope this is not going to be the end for the Roots project in having such a discussion on GRTS, because the 1 hour allocated is not enough. I hope you'll be back very soon to at least enlighten the general public on the implementation of the project. Well, it was Mahmoud Ali Jain, director of the project. Earlier it was Noah Nyangado, the communication officer, and then Raji Haruna Cham, inclusion officer, Lamin Dabo, climate smart officer, and Paul Mendy, the M&E officer of the project. From me, Yero Jalo, bye for now.
Thank you very much.